break. Here you'll find some love, music, laughter, and above. Oh, she'll dare to tell the truth. And so come to Granny's place and give your spirit a big boost.
Welcome to Granny's Place, a haven for love, entertainment, and uncommon sense. I'm Sweet Baby James, and I'm here to introduce you to tonight's show and to Granny Rocks, the host of our show. And this is on the ongoing theme of you ask the answers, and Granny provides the
question?
Questions.
No. Okay. You ask the questions, Granny provides the answers.
Shall we start over?
No, go right ahead.
Okay. You get the drift. You ask the questions, and you'll get some answers. Okay, Granny, what would you like to start off with?
Well, I would like to welcome you one more time to Eugene, Oregon, to our set, which is evolving. We have had nothing but problems. We are moving into this studio location, and, you know, you would think that the world was moving. I mean, how long it's taking us.
Oh, yeah.
And how many technical problems we've had, and, you know, you have no idea, and here we are. But we are here. So that's what I want to say, that we are here.
The Eagles have landed.
The egos have landed. Yes. Okay.
Okay, this first question, Granny asked that we take this one out of order because it has some sense of urgency about it.
Yeah, you see, what we do is every time you write to us, you go in the queue of questions, and I take them in order, and depending on how many questions I can answer per time, please keep tuning in to hear the answers to your questions.
Yeah.
And please keep sending us questions. So, but...
This one
Yes.
is going to be out of order because...
You'll see.
You'll see.
You'll
Yes.
see. Take it away.
Okay, this is from Anonymous. Already it sounds very mysterious. Hi, Granny. My daughter and I have had a conflict. We had a conflict last October, and since then she has refused to have contact other than some letters. She has asked me to find a counselor for us to see together. Are you available for private counseling, and if so, what do you charge?
Okay, so you can see why I wanted to answer that question right away, because I have to explain something to you. On this thing, this Padlet thing where you submit your questions, I have no idea who you are or what your email address is or anything. So, you know, when I heard about that question, I thought, oh my God, I'm ignoring this woman, you know, and she's asking for help. So I just wanted to say that the way you can find me for counseling, yes, I do private counseling, and you go to theinnerrevolution.org, which is the website of our organization, and you will see a section called counseling, and then there's a section called Private Time with Beth, and you can schedule yourself a session. So that's why I'm not really going to answer that question, of course, but I did want to tell you that, and anyone else is interested.
Yes.
So, you know, that's very sad, isn't it, that you've had this, you know, this rift, and that it's gone on so long, and that she's not willing to talk to you about it. And so I would love to be able to help you, and I hope that you get some resolution. So back to the order.
Okay, then. We're no longer out of order.
That's right.
We are in order. In order to be in order. Okay. This one's from Buggy. How does one... excuse me. I put... Some of the words are covered by another page. This is my night, I'll tell you.
Well, I'll tell you something. We are both old, and we are both so tired from moving and trying to set things up that only God knows what we're going to do or say tonight. So the usual spunky, Sweet Baby James is sort of falling on his face over there. And I'm always falling on my face. So take it away, okay. Sweet Baby James.
Take
right?
2, 3,
4.
Okay.
We don't dare start this over again because we're afraid that we wouldn't make it. So let's try it again. Yes.
Okay, the question from Buggy. How does one get out of a spiral of poor performance if they are unable to find the reason to which to attribute the badness? For example, I feel capable and intelligent, yet continually do not excel at my job, and I'm struggling to identify why. Thanks for any wisdom. Granny?
That's a difficult place to be. I mean, you feel like you are capable, but then you don't act capable. Is that basically the idea?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Let me see. First of all, I could say that there are several possible arenas to explore here. One would be, are you in the right job? You may be perfectly capable. Read that again. Does it say?
There's a spiral of poor performance.
Right. She feels capable, intelligent.
I feel capable and intelligent, yet continually do not excel in my job.
Okay. So you see, there are a number of possibilities. One is, as I said, are you in the right job? Is this the right field for you? You can be perfectly competent, intelligent, but you happen to be doing something that does not fit you, and then you're going to feel stupid. I have had
I've done that.
You've done that. We've all done something like that. We're just in something that we shouldn't be doing, and then we feel more and more incompetent and more anxious every time we go, and we find ourselves just like, failing. And spiral that is so right, because as you fail, you start to feel less adequate and then more nervous, and then the more likely you are to fail. So there may be. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, does this job fit me? It's always the fitting question, right? Like say you have a dress and you say, I can't fit into the dress anymore. No, the dress doesn't fit you anymore, right? So the first thing we want to find out is, does this job fit you, not do you fit the job, right?
Good question.
The next question that I might ask myself if I were in your shoes would be, am I in a supportive environment? Are there aspects of the job where I'm really good and I could excel, but there are aspects of the job where I don't and couldn't or can't immediately, and then I need some support? And is it a supportive environment, or do people kind of look at you cross-nosed, when you have a part of that job that's not a good fit, or where you're slow or have some problems, right?
Yeah.
So A, is it the right job? B, is it the right environment? Are people supportive of you? And so what do you think C would be? C would be is, are you undermining yourself? Now,
self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. So, if you're self-sabotaging, then you may have noticed that you've done this before. See, you didn't say that you have had this experience before, so I would need to know that, right? To be able to give you a more intelligent answer, right? But I would say, okay, if you have found that every job you have this kind of turmoil, then you're having probably emotional problems that are getting in the way, or you're sabotaging yourself, or you really don't want to work, or that would be me. But anyway, no, not true. I love my work. So then you've got to look a little bit deeper into yourself and try to understand what's going on with you, right? So it may or may not have anything to do with your job per se. So there's a whole bunch of questions to ask yourself, just to give yourself a boost on the way to answering the questions. Got it?
Very good.
Thank you. All right.
Very good. This one is from Buggy again. She says, sorry, in an attempt to accept who I am while striving to grow and improve, I have not made progress in the areas I had hoped that represent problems in my life. I feel a lot of shame about this, and the shame has led to loneliness and being alone almost all of the time.
Ow.
Is there a way to interrupt this cycle?
Buggy, it sounds like you're in a lot of pain about a lot of things. Because the first thing was about, work, and now it sounds like you have super low self-esteem, that you're lonely, that you're isolating. You say you're feeling shame. I'm not advertising myself.
Well, I did notice that she hasn't gotten help.
Well, that's what I'm feeling. Is like, well, we don't know that, do we, James? We don't know if she has tried to get help.
She has strived to improve, yeah.
I think that the first thing is to say, do I love myself enough to get the help I need to have a better life?
Yeah.
And if not, why not? You're going to have to start with that. It's an act of self-love to ask for help. And maybe you haven't been asking for help. So, Buggy, honey, please take a look at the resources you have. Do you have medical insurance? Do you have friends? Do you have a supportive family that could help you to pay for counseling? And I'm not saying with me, I can't take medical insurance. I'm talking about any kind of counseling. Do you need a 12-step program and you've been denying it? I think it's time for you to sit down with yourself and have a conversation. Do you want to continue your life like this, or do you want to do something different? Are you actually pursuing help, or do you just flit about and start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, or don't even start at all? Buggy, God only helps those who help themselves, and sometimes helping yourself means simply asking for help.
Right.
Look at your resources, Buggy. Don't keep this going.
Right.
I'm sure you're a very dear person, and you deserve better than you're giving yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. This one's from Irene. I live in a senior community where we have meals together. How do I respond to a person who sits down and starts complaining about their room, the food, their kids? I know better than to offer solutions, but need some way of responding when I really just want to shut her up.
Why don't you just shut her up?
How?
Well, go to a different table. I mean, I understand that. That's the first question that I would ask you. I'm sure that sounds terrible. How could I say a thing like that? Maybe you have a number, and you have to sit at that place, and you have to listen to her. And of course, that's going to drain you of energy. And then, of course, you can try to change the topic. But if someone is absolutely dead set on complaining, it doesn't matter what the topic is. You can say, "Oh my God, it was a lovely day, wasn't it? Oh, the sun was shining." And she'll say, "Ah, yes, but see, my cataracts make it impossible for me to see the sun anymore." And so, then you're sitting there. So then you have to start breathing. It's like, why do you even have to respond? Now, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But you don't really have to respond. You can send her chi, like say, send some positive energy her way, and smile. And then turn to someone else and have a conversation, or try to change the conversation. But you don't have to respond to that. I'm not saying that we shouldn't respond when people are in pain. Now, this can be easily misunderstood, and I could be skewered on the barbecue for what I'm saying, right? Because sometimes people are complaining because they're really in pain. So, you could say, "Oh, that really does sound painful. What are you doing about it? Or how are you trying to change that?" So that could be an opening that could have some positive effect, right? You can ask her the question. You can engage her on that level. Or you can say, you're always talking about this. It makes me wonder why you haven't addressed it and found a solution. Or is there a solution? Gee, I'm so sorry. Please pass the butter. But then you have to keep asking yourself, why are you sitting there? Now, again, you may have no choice. But if you are consistently put with someone that you don't want to be put with, then you can
Well,
try to
evidently,
address that.
she was just sitting there at the table, and this woman came and sat down at that table.
Well, but I got the impression that this happened more than once.
Right.
Now, you know, I think that there is something in you that feels like you're supposed to do something. So I'm saying you don't have to. If you feel called, your intuition tells you, I can really help this person, then try to do something. But to sit there and resent the person, you can say, oh, excuse me, I forgot something, and leave the table. So I'm asking you, oh, that's terrible. I'm asking you to really look at why you're there. And once you have the answer to that, you may actually discover that there's a way out.
Very good. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. This next question is from Anonymous.
Oh, another Anonymous.
I've
We're
been
getting
married.
very popular with Anonymous.
We are indeed.
Yes.
Maybe we should call this show Granny Anonymous.
Really?
I've been married to my husband for about 35 years. We're both retired but working hard to remodel our house. He has always suffered from non-specific anxiety disorder, but lately every little thing irritates him. He yells at the dogs and cat. He curses if the car in front of him is going too slowly or if he miscuts a board he's sawing. He doesn't yell at me, but also doesn't understand the level of stress his behavior has caused. He is in counseling and on medication, but it seems to have little effect. What more can I do?
Oh, God. We have a lot of pain tonight, don't we?
We do.
A lot of pain. Well, first of all, I want to tell you that I have a lot of sympathy.
Yeah.
But one thing I have not heard is, how are you feeling about the remodel? How are you feeling about the marriage in general? How are you feeling? Who are you? What are you doing with your life? Are you focused on him? Are you, in a way, doesn't this remind you of the last one? We feel trapped. It's fascinating. We feel trapped by another person's pain. I am that. I have been there. Right?
Yes.
I feel trapped by somebody close to me being in pain, and I don't know what to do about it, and I feel like, oh, drag down. So are you engaging in some hobby that you really enjoy? I mean, I'm assuming you don't want to divorce the guy, although you could, but you have some compassion, and you probably don't want to get started all over again at your age. If you've been married for 35 years, you're at least 37. So, but I mean, that is always an option. Are you stuck with this relationship? If it's not satisfying you, why are you still in it? See, I'm kind of asking this question, right? It's like, if you're failing at a job, why are you still in it? Unless it's just you, and that you're having a problem with everything you're doing, and then you have to deal with it. So if you're having this kind of painful marriage, you need to be doing something much more interesting with your life than listening to your husband bitch, right? So what are you doing that's meaningful? Do you feel responsible for fixing him? Which seems to be one of the themes tonight, right? Do you feel responsible for fixing him? Do you just feel compassion because you love him and you see that he's suffering? But it feels like you're pretty desperate yourself. Have you gone to his counselor and asked for a couple session where you can talk about how this behavior is impacting you? Yeah. Does he know that the impact that it's having on you? Now, a lot of times when we're with someone who is in pain, it is very difficult for us to even talk to them about the impact because, we're afraid it's just going to send them over the edge. But in the process, there's no intimacy anymore because you're not talking honestly with one another. He doesn't know you anymore, and you're just coping. So I would suggest, first of all, that you get into counseling with him and have an opportunity to share what's happening for you in your life. And you also take a look at what's happening to you yourself that has nothing to do with him. You know, what are you looking forward to every day? What are you even enjoying this remodel? Right? Should you even be remodeling? Should you put a stop to it and say, you know, maybe we've done enough? But it sounds like this is a bigger issue than just during the remodel, right? I didn't get the impression there's only that. So if something let's say it is the remodel, you can say, honey, why don't you go on vacation for the next few weeks? And when it's all over, I'll call you and come back. But if it's really more like chronic, maybe you stop talking honestly to each other. Maybe there's no intimacy anymore. Maybe you need to talk about it. Take a risk. Don't you think he knows that you're hurting and that you don't have a lot of intimacy? And say to him, none of this is worth it if it destroys us. What do we still need to do? I'm just talking about the remodel now because I've given you the general guidance about talking to him.
Maybe
right?
talk to him directly about how it's impacting her.
Yes.
I mean, he went from anxiety to anger and anger and anger.
Yeah.
You know.
And obviously he knows because he's taking medication and he's in counseling. But you might look at him in the eye and say, what we're doing isn't enough.
Right.
You know, are we close? Are we able to help each other through this painful experience?
Right.
You know, sometimes things get so frayed between people over 35 years because things have not been cleared up and cleared up and cleared up, that we just don't have that goodwill anymore in the bank. And we have so many years of separation. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's see what you can do in terms of repairing the intimacy in the relationship and supporting yourself to have a better life. So I hope that helps.
Very good. Thank you. This next one is from Anonymous. I am in the process of separating from my husband, and I feel like it's the right thing, but I keep feeling judged by other people and myself, and the guilt is consuming me.
Ow!
How can I release these feelings so I can be clear about how to move forward?
Well, that one isn't so hard. You have to ask yourself why you feel guilty. I mean, are you feeling guilty because your parents got divorced and you said, I'll never be like that, I'm always going to be this wonderful woman? Or she did say husband, right?
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's a woman, though it wouldn't necessarily have to be. And, you know, oh, I'm not better than my parents, I'm doing the same thing they did, I'm hurting my children, I'm this, I'm that. It's like, let's start by looking at what is this guilt? What is this thing called guilt? You know, what are you guilty about? Do you feel guilty? Is it really even guilt that you're feeling? Right? Are you perhaps actually feeling anger and you're covering it up with guilt? Have you ever done that? Is guilt a safer emotion than anger? Why so? See, we have to really look at our feelings sometimes and ask ourselves, you know, why this feeling? You're being consumed by guilt. You're talking about other people. You didn't say that your husband is upset with you for getting this divorce. You're talking about being judged.
Separation.
Oh, separation. Excuse me. Separation. Thank you. Wake up, Beth. Sorry. You're saying other people. It's not their lives. So there's something is being triggered in you. I mean, you know better, right? You're even admitting it. I know better. Why should I care what they're thinking? Well, because there's something in you that's already feeling like this is wrong. Why is it wrong? Is it wrong because it's really wrong for both of you and you haven't made enough of a try and you know you haven't tried hard enough and you haven't gotten over your own ego or your own bad behavior or whatever? Or is it really the right thing, and then why are you deflecting yourself with this guilt? Why do you choose guilt over feeling the pain of the separation or the happiness? You know, you may feel guilty because you're so darn happy. So we cannot take our emotions at face value. We are often feeling something different from what we actually feel. And you may be feeling guilty because guilt is the more acceptable emotion for you. Mm-hmm. So forget about what those other people are saying. Ask yourself, what are you saying to yourself?
Yep, very good.
We're zooming through today.
We are
Hey
indeed.
guys, you can send me lots more questions. We're zooming through. Okay.
Okay. This next one has a name with it. Lee Don Hershey. As a gender-fluid individual, I often encounter males that are threatened by my masculinity. How do I approach them?
Why do you need to approach them? What an interesting question.
Wants them not to feel threatened.
Well, but here is another example of a question that reveals a lot, right? How should I approach them? You don't have to approach them, you just have to be. Be as you are with everybody. Be with them just the way you would be with a woman. You know, you just be who you are every day in every way and let them figure out how to deal with you. And so I want to know why you even feel the need to deal with their feelings towards you, or how to approach them. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I highly encourage you to try this, to just be with them just like you would with anybody, and if they talk to you about it, then of course you're going to be open to discussing it with them. But you live your life, girl, or guy, or however you see yourself, because that's not your problem. Okay.
See, we only have 1 minute left.
Yes, so it sounds like we're out of time. I think we even only had one question left. So, oh my God, we did it tonight, you know. Well, please send more questions to Granny Rocks. So you go to the post, and on the post there is a link on Facebook, and you press the link, and it'll take you to this thing, and then you put in your question. And remember, I can't answer you because I will not have any contact information for you. So if there's anything more specific, you'll just have to give me your contact information, and like we did tonight, and also join me and Sweet Baby James for Granny's Kitchen tonight, 15 minutes after the live show. We are going to be available.
Yep,
we have the kitchen.
You'll be guiding the discussion.
I will be guiding the discussion, and you can read all the instructions. You can call in on the phone. It's a video conference, but if you don't have that capacity, you can even call on the phone, and you can actually ask me questions about the question that you asked, if you're the one who asked the question.
Or say anything you want regarding what you're
talking
about.
Yes, so we covered a lot of territory tonight, and I do hope that some of it perked some thoughts and thinking for you, and I look forward to meeting you in Granny's Kitchen. And next week, see you next week.
Bye-bye.